first rocket screams up and detonates too low, showering the spruce canopy in burning sparks. In the ash-orange light, a line of villagers runs for the river, robes snapping in the wind, while something black and winged drops out of the clouds like a thrown knife. Iron golems look up too late. The shadow folds, dives, and the air itself seems to tear. On the cliff edge, a crafting table sits alone, dusted with feathers, as if it has always been waiting. If you enjoy cinematic Minecraft what-if stories that treat blocks like history, tap like and subscribe so you do not miss the next timeline. And tell the comments where you are watching from and which biome you would defend if the sky itself became a weapon. The winged raider lands without a sound on the bell roof and watches the village scatter. He's not wearing an elytra he found in a dead-end city. He is wearing one he paid for. Below, the bell rings once, struck by a panicked cleric who does not understand what he is seeing. The raider's wings are stitched, reinforced, and dyed a deep coal color that drinks the moonlight. Leather straps bite into his chest plate. A firework rocket hisses in his hand. He angles it like a match. On the far side of the river, a farmer trips in the mud and looks back. The raider lifts off again, not climbing a tower, not building a pillar, not earning height the old way. He simply leaves the ground as if gravity has become negotiable. The farmer's breath fogs in the cold, and for a heartbeat, he thinks of stories, end ships, ancient cities, impossible loot. He thinks, wrongly, that this must be one of those legends. The raider dives. The villager screams, and in the spruce forest beyond, the first of many crafting stations begins to change the world. Weeks earlier, in a stone corridor beneath a mountain, the pivotal event happens quietly. No boss music, no portal flare. Just a miner named Sable, alone with a lantern and a pickaxe, following the faintest draft through deep slate. Her pick cracks a block, and the wall opens into an abandoned stronghold library. Cobwebs drag at her sleeves. Bookshelves stand like ribs around a central table, where a single book lies open, as if someone just set it down and walked away. Sable reads by lantern light. The page is not an enchantment. It is not a spell. It is a recipe. Phantom membranes stitched with ender thread, a frame of purple-infused rods, a core of dragon breath condensed into a glassy film. The diagram is precise, annotated in a hand that trembles, as if the writer knew what the world would do with it. Sable's throat tightens. She thinks of the end, of the gamble of Eyes of Ender and the long fall into void, of the way survivors come back changed. She thinks of the ones who never return, and she thinks, with a miner's instinct, of supply. If elytra can be crafted, then elytra do not belong to the brave. They belong to whoever controls the ingredients. She closes the book. The lantern flickers. Somewhere deep in the stronghold, a silver fish clicks in the dark like a clock beginning to run. By the time Sable reaches the surface, the sun is setting on a plains biome where a trading road cuts between wheat fields. She does not go to her usual base. She goes to the nearest village, to the librarian whose eyes are always a little too sharp. The librarian, a man the villagers call Quill, listens without blinking as Sable describes the page. When she finishes, he turns the book around and traces the diagram with a finger that smells faintly of ink and emeralds. "This is not for you," Quill says softly. Sable's jaw sets. "It is for whoever finds it." Quill's gaze lifts to the window, to the sky already bruising purple. Then the sky will be bought. He's thinking of the old order, Walls, moats, watchtowers. He is thinking of raids that come on foot and can be repelled with arrows and patience. He's thinking of the way villagers survive by knowing where danger must walk. Sable does not argue. She offers him a bargain instead. She will bring membranes, rods, breath, whatever the recipe demands. He will translate it into something the world can understand. He will create the first blueprint that can be copied. Quill's mouth tightens as if he tastes iron. "And who will you sell it to?" Sable answers honestly. "Whoever pays, whoever promises protection." Quill nods once, like a man signing his own sentence. That night, outside the village, the first phantoms begin to circle. They come because Sable has not slept in days. Not since the stronghold, not since the recipe. Her mind will not allow it. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees wings unfolding from a crafting table, and she wakes with her heart hammering. Above the plains, the phantoms are pale and thin, their eyes bright as drowned stars. They shriek and dive. Sable swings her sword, the blade whistling through cold air, and each time she hits, the membrane tears free like wet paper. By dawn, she has enough for one set of wings. Enough to prove the page is real. She staggers into Quill's house with phantom membranes bundled in her arms, smelling of rain and rot. Quill does not recoil. He lays them on the table like sacred cloth. In another part of the world, far beyond the plains, a different mind hears the same whisper of possibility. In a desert outpost half buried by sand, a pillager captain named Va watches the horizon through a spyglass. He has raided villages for years. He has seen iron golems fall, heard the crack of crossbows, tasted the dull satisfaction of predictable victory. Lately, the raids have become harder. Players build higher walls. Villages learn. The world adapts. Then a wandering trader arrives with a rumor, and rumor is the only currency that travels faster than a horse. The trader speaks of a miner and a librarian, of a recipe stolen from the bones of a stronghold. He speaks of wings that can be made. Va's fingers tighten on the spyglass until the brass creaks. He imagines his raiders not trudging through forests, not getting stuck in rivers, not dying on spikes. He imagines them falling from the sun. He does not need to know if the rumor is true. He only needs to act as if it is, because if it is true and he waits, someone else will own the sky. He orders the outpost to move. Pillagers march at night. Their banners drag through dead bushes. Their boots leave prints that the wind erases by morning. They cross badlands where terracotta cliffs glow like dried blood. They cross a savanna where acacia trees twist like hooked fingers. They do not sing. They conserve breath. At the same time, in a mangrove swamp, a player named Rowan kneels beside a campfire and listens to frogs croak in the dark. Rowan is a builder, not a conqueror. His hands know symmetry and lantern placement, not siege tactics. He has spent weeks shaping a fishing dock and a stilted house, watching fireflies that do not exist anymore in this world, pretending the nights are safe. A messenger arrives in a boat, panting, soaked to the waist. "They are making Elytra," the messenger says, as if the words themselves are a curse. Rowan laughs once, because it sounds impossible. Elytra are found. Not anymore. Rowan's laughter dies. He stares at the swamp water, black and still, and for the first time, he imagines an enemy that does not care about his walls, because walls do not stop the sky. He asks the only question that matters. Who is making them? The messenger hesitates. A village librarian, a miner, and the pillagers are moving. Rowan stands. The mangrove roots creak under his boots. He thinks of his dock, his house, his chests full of fish and copper and maps. He thinks of the villagers he trades with, the ones who wave when he passes. He thinks of their faces when the bell rings. He begins packing before the messenger finishes speaking. In Quill's house, the first crafting attempt smells like smoke and panic. Quill has built a hidden room under his floorboards. The villagers above sleep, unaware that their librarian is turning their home into a forge for a new era. Sable sits on a crate, eyes hollow, while Quill arranges ingredients with trembling care. Phantom membranes go first, stretched over a frame of rods that Quill has made by smelting chorus fruit into a brittle resin and binding it with iron. He murmurs to himself, translating old notes into modern steps. He has dragon breath in a bottle, traded at obscene cost from a player who once fought the dragon and never stopped talking about it. Quill tips the bottle, and the breath pours like violet fog, clinging to the membrane. The room fills with a sharp, metallic scent, like lightning trapped in glass. Sable leans forward. Will it work? Quill does not answer. He's listening to the world, to the creak of the village above, to the distant groan of a zombie, to the soft, inevitable approach of consequences. He places the final piece, an ender pearl ground into dust and mixed with slime, and the crafting table flashes. For a heartbeat, the light is not torchlight. It is end light, pale, alien, too clean. Then the wings appear. They are not enchanted. They are not legendary. They are an item, a thing that can be made again. Sable exhales like she has been holding her breath for weeks. Quill does not smile. He reaches out and touches the feathers. They feel real. They feel wrong. Above them, the village bell rings once, struck by wind or chance, or something that already knows. The first turning point happens before anyone can agree on what to do with the wings. The floorboards explode inward. A crossbow bolt thuds into the wall a thumb's width from Quill's head. Dust fills the hidden room. Sable is on her feet with a sword in hand, but the ladder is already crowded with boots. Pillagers pour down like water finding a crack. Var follows last, calm, eyes bright with hunger. He looks at the wings on the table and says, almost reverently, "So it is true." Quill raises his hands, palms out. "This is a village." Var tilts his head. "It was." Sable lunges. A pillager catches her with a shield bash that rattles her teeth. Quill scrambles for the book, but Var's hand slams it shut and pulls it away. Var flips through the pages with the ease of a man reading a map. He nods once. "Good. You will make more." Quill's voice goes thin. "I will not." Var's crossbow clicks. He does not fire at Quill. He fires upward into the floor where villagers sleep. The scream above is immediate and raw. Quill flinches as if struck. Sable's face goes white. Var watches them both, measuring. "You will," he says, "or you will listen to that sound until you do." Outside, the raid begins. The village bell rings in frantic, uneven bursts. Villagers run. Iron golems swing heavy arms. Fires start where they should not. In the chaos, no one sees Var's raiders dragging Quill and Sable out through the back into the dark toward the desert. Rowan arrives 2 days later, too late to save anyone, but early enough to find the evidence. He walks through the village at dawn. Smoke curls from blackened roofs. A cat sits on a fence post, staring at nothing. The well is choked with ash. He finds the librarian's house broken open, floorboards torn away, the hidden room exposed like a wound. On the crafting table, a single feather remains, stuck to a smear of purple residue. Rowan picks it up carefully. It is lighter than it should be. It smells faintly of the end. He hears a villager sobbing behind him and turns. A cleric stands in the street, robes torn, eyes red. "They took him," the cleric says. "They took Quill. They took the miner too." Rowan looks at the sky. It is empty, blue, innocent. He knows it will not stay that way. He leaves the village with a decision hardening in his chest. He will not chase Var on foot. He will not wait for walls to be built higher. He will go where the recipe came from. He will go to the stronghold. In the desert, Var builds a workshop under the outpost, turning sand and stone into an assembly line. Quill is chained to a lectern. Sable is chained beside the furnace. Every day, Var brings new materials, membranes harvested by forcing sleepless prisoners to fight phantoms, chorus resins stolen from End expeditions, bottles of dragon breath bought from desperate players who think emeralds can buy safety. Quill works with hands that shake from rage and exhaustion. He refuses at first, then learns refusal costs villagers their lives. Var does not need Quill's loyalty. He needs his knowledge. Sable watches, trapped in a nightmare she started. She remembers the moment she closed the recipe book in the stronghold, thinking she could control who saw it. Now she watches pillagers strap the first crafted Elytra onto a raider's back. The raider steps outside at sunset. The desert wind tugs at the wings. Var hands him a rocket. "Do not crash," Var says, almost amused. "You are expensive." The raider runs, jumps, and the wings catch. He glides over the dunes, shadows sliding across sand like spilled ink. He fires the rocket and shoots upward, laughing as the ground drops away. Sable closes her eyes. The laugh is the sound of the world changing shape. Rowan finds the stronghold after days of digging, guided by eyes of ender that burn green in the dark. He descends alone, torchlight shaking, hearing the distant drip of water and the skitter of silverfish. In the library, he finds the empty table where the recipe book once lay. He finds torn cobwebs, a broken lantern, and a single page fragment wedged between bookshelves. On it, a note in Quill's handwriting. "If you are reading this, the sky is already for sale." Rowan's stomach drops. He's not a warrior. He's not even sure he is brave. But he understands systems, and he understands that crafting changes everything, because crafting scales. He gathers what he can from the stronghold: books, maps, iron, anything. He returns to the surface with dirt under his nails and a plan forming like a storm. If Var can mass-produce flight, then the only defense is to deny him the rarest ingredient, dragon breath. And dragon breath comes from one place, the End. The second turning point hits the overworld like a falling star. Var's first winged raid strikes a coastal town at noon. The sea is calm. Boats bob at docks. Children chase chickens between houses. Then shadows sweep over the sand. Pillagers drop from above in a staggered pattern, landing on rooftops, on towers, on the bell itself. Crossbows fire downward into streets that were designed for threats that come through doors. A fisherman looks up, squinting, and sees wings blotting out the sun. He raises his hands, empty, and dies without understanding why walls did not matter. Rowan hears about the raid from refugees who arrive in his swamp camp, barefoot, carrying nothing but a handful of bread and a baby wrapped in wool. They speak of arrows from the sky, of golems that could not reach, of pillagers who laughed as they flew away. Rowan stands on his dock that night and watches the stars reflect in swamp water. He thinks of the end portal frame, of the way it waits under stone like a mouth. He thinks of the dragon, a creature that guards a resource no one used to need in bulk. He gathers allies the only way he knows how, with builds and promises. In a taiga biome, he convinces a redstone engineer named Lark to join, offering access to copper and slime for traps. In a mountain village, he recruits an archer named June, who has lost family to the winged raids. In a jungle, he finds a cartographer who can map strongholds and ocean monuments, because knowledge is a weapon too. They travel at night, avoiding roads, because roads are visible from above. Meanwhile, Quill begins to sabotage Var from within, quietly, painfully. He alters measurements, he weakens frames, he swaps ingredients when he can. It is small, almost meaningless against the scale Var is building, but it is the only rebellion left to him. Sable notices first. A raider's Elytra tears mid-flight during a training run, and the pillager drops into a cactus field with a scream cut short by impact. Var's eyes narrow. He drags Quill close and speaks in a voice only Quill can hear. "Do that again," Var says, "and I will craft wings out of your village's skin." Quill's face remains calm, but inside him something breaks cleanly, like glass. He realizes Var will never stop. Not with enough wings, not with enough villages. The sky has made him greedy beyond reason. Quill looks at Sable that night, chains clinking softly in the dark workshop. "We made this," he whispers. Sable's eyes shine with unshed tears. "We can unmake it." "How?" Sable stares at the furnace glow and answers with a miner's certainty. "You collapse the mine." The third turning point is a choice made in the End's cold light. Rowan's team stands before the End portal in the stronghold, 12 eyes burning in the frame. The air hums. Lark's hands shake as he places the final eye. Jun checks her bowstring twice, jaw clenched. The cartographer mutters coordinates like prayers. Rowan looks at each of them, seeing fear and determination braided together. He does not give a speech. He simply steps forward and jumps. The End is silent in a way the Overworld never is. No wind, no birds. Only the distant flap of the dragon's wings and the crunch of endstone under boots. They build up quickly, placing blocks with desperate speed, because they know Var will come here too. They know he will not let anyone control dragon breath but him. The dragon dives, roaring, and June's arrows streak upward. Lark sets explosives with hands steady now, because terror has burned away hesitation. Rowan places beds at the right angles, the old dangerous trick, and the explosions bloom white against the black sky. As the dragon's health drops, Rowan feels no triumph, only urgency, because killing the dragon is not the end. It is the beginning of a resource war. When the dragon finally collapses, dissolving into light and experience that rains down like glittering ash, the End portal opens. The egg appears, perfect and ominous. Rowan does not touch it. He bottles dragon breath from the purple clouds that linger, hands moving fast, filling glass after glass. He knows every bottle is a future raid prevented or enabled. Above them, a sound cuts through the End silence. Fireworks? Var arrives with a squad of winged pillagers streaking in from the obsidian towers like wasps. Their rockets leave bright scars in the air. They land on the central island, crossbows already raised. Var's boots crunch on endstone. He looks at the open portal, at the bottles in Rowan's hands, and smiles. "Thank you," Var says. "You saved me the trouble." Rowan's allies spread out instinctively, but they are outnumbered, and worse, they are grounded. The pillagers can take height whenever they want. Rowan meets Var's gaze. "You do not need this," Rowan says, voice steady. Var laughs softly. "Need? No. I need nothing. I want everything." The battle is chaos in a void. Arrows fly, rockets flare. Pillagers lift off, raining bolts downward. Jun takes one through the shoulder and keeps firing, teeth bared. Lark triggers an explosive trap on an obsidian tower base, collapsing it into the void with a groan like the world cracking. Rowan clutches the bottles of dragon breath and runs because he understands the true objective: deny Var the supply. He reaches the edge of the island and hesitates, staring into the endless drop. Behind him, footsteps pound closer. Var's shadow stretches long on the endstone. A hand grabs Rowan's shoulder. It is Quill. Quill is here. Somehow, chains gone. Face bruised, eyes burning with purpose. In the confusion of raids and production, he has escaped with Sable's help, following Var through the portal like a ghost, because he knows this is where the war ends or becomes eternal. Quill shoves a bundle into Rowan's hands. The original recipe book, corners scorched, pages stained. "I kept it," Quill says. He does not know. Rowan stares, stunned. "Why bring it here?" Quill's voice drops to a whisper against the end's emptiness. "Because it must die where it was born." Var sees the book, and his expression changes for the first time. Not anger, not amusement, fear, quick and sharp. "Give me that," Var says, stepping forward. Quill holds the book to his chest. He looks at Rowan, and in his eyes, Rowan sees every villager who rang a bell too late. Quill says, "Run." Rowan runs, bottles clinking, while Quill turns to face Var alone. Var raises his crossbow. Quill does not flinch. He opens the book and tears out the recipe page with a single violent motion. The paper rips with a sound like a scream. Var fires. The bolt hits Quill in the side. Quill staggers, breath hissing, but he keeps moving. He holds the torn page over the open end portal where the void swallows light. Var lunges. Too late. Quill lets go. The page flutters downward, caught by no wind, spinning slowly as it falls into the portal's black mouth and vanishes. For a heartbeat, nothing happens. Then the portal shudders, its surface rippling like disturbed water. The air hums louder, angry, unstable. Lark, bleeding from a cut on his forehead, looks up and realizes what Quill has done. The recipe was not just ink. It was knowledge anchored to the world. Removing it has consequences. The portal collapses inward with a roar that is felt more than heard. The central gateway flickers, then implodes, sucking loose blocks and arrows and ash toward it. Pillagers scream as their footing slides. One winged raider tries to rocket away and is dragged sideways, vanishing into the collapsing void. Rowan reaches for Jun, pulling her back from the pull. "Hold on!" he shouts, but the end eats sound. Var digs his boots into endstone, fingers clawing at the ground. His eyes lock on Rowan with pure hatred. He reaches for a rocket, trying to escape upward, but the air itself seems to fold wrong. His elytra flaps uselessly, like a bird in oil. Sable appears at the edge of the chaos, face streaked with soot, holding a pickaxe like a promise. She looks at Var, then at Quill crumpled on the ground, and something in her hardens into stone. She swings the pickaxe into an obsidian support block Lark has weakened. The tower base fractures. The structure groans and tips toward the collapsing portal. Var's eyes widen as obsidian falls like a guillotine. He tries to run. There is nowhere to go. The tower slams down, and Var disappears beneath it, swallowed by darkness and dust, and the hungry pull of a portal tearing itself apart. Then, as suddenly as it began, the collapse stops. The portal is gone. The gateway is sealed. The end is quiet again, but it is a different quiet, like a door locked forever. Rowan kneels beside Quill. Blood darkens Quill's shirt. Quill's breath is shallow. Rowan presses a hand to the wound, uselessly. "Why?" he asks, voice breaking despite himself. "We could have used it. We could have controlled it." Quill's eyes flicker toward the obsidian towers, toward the endless black sky. "Control," he whispers, tasting the word like ash. "Always becomes Var." Sable crouches on Quill's other side, tears cutting clean lines through grime. "I am sorry," she says. Quill's lips twitch, not quite a smile. "Sleep," he whispers, and this time it is not a command. It is a mercy. His eyes close. Rowan sits back on the cold end stone, hands stained red, and looks at the bottles of dragon breath beside him. Without the portal, they are trapped here unless they find another way out. Unless they find an end gateway that still works, far out on the islands. Unless the world has decided their sacrifice is permanent. Lark, limping, points toward a distant gateway that flickers faintly at the horizon, still stable. "There," Lark says. "We can leave, but not all of us." Jun swallows hard, clutching her wounded shoulder. "We leave the breath," she says, already understanding. "We cannot bring it back. If we do, someone will craft again." Rowan looks at the bottles. They gleam violet in the end's pale light, beautiful and terrible. He nods once. He tips the first bottle onto the end stone and watches dragon breath spill out and dissipate into nothing. One by one, they empty them all, until the end smells sharp and metallic, and then, gradually, like nothing at all. In the overworld, the impact is immediate, tangible, and strangely quiet. Winged raids do not stop overnight. Var's stockpile still exists. Pillagers still have Elytra already crafted. But without dragon breath, without the recipe page, without Quill's hands forced to work, the supply chain breaks like a snapped lead. Elytra become relics again, but now they are relics in circulation, passed between raiders, stolen, hoarded, repaired, until they fall apart. Villages rebuild with roofs reinforced and streets narrowed, not to stop flight, but to survive it. Players begin to sleep again, not out of comfort, but out of strategy, because phantoms have become an industrial resource, and everyone is sick of feeding the sky. Rowan returns months later, thinner, quieter, carrying Quill's book without the page that mattered most. He walks into the ruined Plains village where it began. New houses stand beside charred foundations. The bell has been rehung, polished by hands that refuse to let it be a symbol of helplessness. The cleric who once sobbed meets Rowan at the well. "Did you stop them?" the cleric asks. Rowan looks up at the sky. A single pillager glides far in the distance, a dark speck against clouds, moving like a memory that refuses to fade. "We broke the machine," Rowan says, "not the desire." Sable does not stay in villages anymore. She moves through caves and mountains, mining alone, sleeping when her body demands it, waking from dreams of wings. Sometimes she finds phantom membranes in chests left behind by raiders, and she burns them in campfires until the smoke stings her eyes. She tells herself she is balancing a ledger that can never be balanced. Lark builds defenses that point upward now, piston-driven net cannons, redstone alarms that listen for rocket hiss, towers topped with honey blocks to trap boots that land too confidently. Jun trains archers to shoot not at bodies, but at trajectories, learning to read the sky like a river current. And in the deserts, the pillagers fracture without var. Captains fight over the remaining Elytra like starving wolves over a bone. Some try to bargain with players, some try to raid anyway. Many die when their wings finally tear, falling into ravines they never bothered to look down into before. The world enters a new order, where flight is no longer mythical, but it is no longer scalable. It becomes rare, coveted, and feared, like enchanted netherite once was. Villagers tell stories of the season the sky attacked, and children look up at clouds with suspicion. Rowan visits Quill's old house at dusk and finds the hidden room sealed with new planks. On the crafting table, someone has placed a candle and a single phantom feather pinned under glass like an insect. Rowan does not touch it. He stands in the doorway and listens to the village breathing. Doors opening, footsteps on paths, the soft murmur of life continuing because it must. Outside, the first stars appear. The air cools. Somewhere far away, a rocket hisses, faint as a distant snake. Rowan closes the door gently, as if sound itself could invite the sky back in. And above the village, the clouds drift on, indifferent, carrying the shape of wings that the world has learned to fear.